From Lagos, the nation's commercial capital. This is the news at 10. Live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight, Ayotunde Balogun. Hello and welcome tonight. Chief of Defense Staff General Christopher Musa reaffirms armed forces' commitment to protect national territorial integrity. National Security Advisor Nuri Badu, Defense Minister meet governors over soaring food and commodity prices nationwide. Federal government arraigned suspended Senator Natasha Potu over alleged defamation of President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, and former Kogi State Governor Yahaya Bello. And President Trump to decide U.S.-Iran-Israel conflict involvement in 2 weeks.
In our business, federal government green bonds record 183% oversubscription, raises over 91 billion naira for climate projects.
On sports news tonight, CAF confirms Nigeria's home-based Eagles to play their group games at the African Nations Championship in Zanzibar, Tanzania.
Indeed, it's been a challenging period for Nigeria in terms of security in recent times, with the latest searchlight beaming on Benue. Yet the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, is pledging the commitment of the armed forces of Nigeria to defend the territorial integrity of the nation. He made the pledge at a parley with media executives in Abuja to mark his second year in office. General Musa says the armed forces, in collaboration with other security agencies, remain committed to overcoming all security challenges.
It's an opportunity to cross-fertilize ideas as the Chief of Defense Staff, General Chris Musa, leads service chiefs and principal officers of the armed forces to this parley with media executives and defense correspondents.
Let me begin by appreciating
the Chief of Defense Staff begins the conversation as he reaffirms the commitment of the military to ensure a safe and secure Nigeria.
Let me reaffirm that the Armed Forces of Nigeria remains unwavering in its mission to protect the sovereignty and territorial integrity of our country. While kinetic operations are ongoing across all theaters, we have also come to fully appreciate the importance of non-kinetic strategies, which now constitute over 70% of the efforts required in modern asymmetric warfare.
The various services take turns to address the media on their operations, especially in the last 2 years.
Our air operations have neutralized several high-value targets, dismantled logistics networks, and restored hope to communities plagued by insurgency. From June 2023 to date, over 3,496 terrorists were neutralized, while 775 structures, logistics, and 218 combat vehicles were destroyed by the air component of Operation Hadinkai in the northeast.
In the last 2 years, the Nigerian Army as the land force, operating with other services and agencies, has degraded the Lakroa terror group to the extent that they cease to pose a serious threat to major towns and villages in that zone.
The Minister of Information and National Orientation is the chairman of the occasion, and he appeals to the media to black out activities of insurgents.
It is, for me, personally, not encouraging when I see, and I always say it, when I see the Nigerian media prioritizing the news of these terrorist and criminal elements over and above what our men and women in uniform are doing. They are working for Nigeria. They are fighting for you. You cannot side with the enemy.
As the military combines the kinetic non-kinetic and whole-of-society approach to the fight against insurgency, the defense chief is urging Nigerians to support the military's effort to keep the nation safe.
While the military re-strategizes to deal with insecurity, both the National Security Advisor, Mr. Nuhu Ribadu, and the Minister of Defense, Mohammed Badru, have maintained sealed lips after about a 2-hour meeting with state governors behind closed doors in Abuja, the nation's capital. Now, the meeting, which held at the Secretariat of the Nigeria Governors Forum, also had in attendance the Minister of Agriculture, his colleague at the Ministry of Livestock Development, and that of Transportation. The Lagos State Governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, who addressed journalists on behalf of the forum, confirmed receiving briefs from the National Security Advisor. He, however, notes that the presentation of the NSA was on the rising cost of food and livestock transportation across the country and how to address the challenge.
We members of the Nigerian Governors Forum, NGF, at our meeting held today, deliberated on issues affecting the country. One, the forum received a briefing from the National Security Advisor, the NSA, and it was accompanied by the Honorable Ministers of Defense, Agriculture, Livestock Development, and Transportation on the rising cost of food and livestock transportation across the country. The presentation revealed that the proliferation of checkpoints, illegal taxation, and poor infrastructure are key contributors to price inflation and inefficiencies in the food supply chain. The NSA noted that a high-level interministerial committee has been established to address these concerns and has submitted its recommendation for the endorsement of the forum. Governors thereafter acknowledged the urgency of this matter and expressed commitment to collaborate with the federal authorities to streamline the levies, to dismantle unauthorized checkpoints, and to improve the movement of goods, especially food items, across the states.
Still in security, and commanders of all military formations and operations across the country must ensure communities are protected from attacks while maintaining the human rights of civilians. The Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, gave the charge at the Civil-Military Relations Conference in Abuja, where he emphasized the urgent need to bridge the trust deficit between the military and civilian population. General Musa adds that the military will continue to employ kinetic and non-kinetic measures to combat insurgency and other forms of insecurity. And more on security, and in a renewed effort to strengthen it and consolidate operational gains in southern Taraba, the Commander 6th Brigade, Nigerian Army Sector 3, Operation Wellstroke, Brigadier General Kingsley Uwa, has officially flagged off the newly established forward operating base in Wukari, the headquarters of Wukari Local Government of Taraba State. During the flag-off ceremony, Brigadier General Uwa addressed troops deployed to the base, charging them to maintain the highest standards of discipline, vigilance, and professionalism in the discharge of their duties. This is contained in a press statement issued by Captain Olubodunde Oni, Acting Assistant Director, Army Public Relations. According to the statement, the brigade commander emphasized the importance of safeguarding all military assets and equipment within the base and maintaining a robust presence in the area. The commander also gave clear directives for troops to dominate their area of responsibility and ensure that bandits, terrorists, and other criminal elements are denied any freedom of action. Brigadier General Uwa also led troops on a confidence-building patrol within Wukari town and surrounding communities. Now, the establishment of the forward operating base in Wukari is expected to enhance rapid response capabilities, improve intelligence gathering, and deepen civil-military cooperation in the area. It's a criminal offense to use a stun gun to threaten or instill fear in another person. That's coming from the Lagos State Commissioner of Police, Olorundare Jimoh. This clarification follows the recent incident involving the senior pastor of House on the Rock Church, Pastor Paul Adefarasin, where the use of a stun gun was reportedly involved. The police commissioner is also calling on state governors across the country to prioritize increased funding for the Nigeria police. According to the CP, better financial support from sub-national governments will significantly boost operational effectiveness and enhance security nationwide. Mr. Jimoh was a guest on our morning program, Sunrise Daily.
If every state can emulate what Lagos State is doing, I think the call for state police will go into the dustbin. Because if you look at the issue of state police with respect to people that are yearning for state police, but you discover that if I'm to serve in my state, for example, how many of my uncle and relatives can I arrest and put behind bar for offenses? Then if I'm from Kwara State, if I'm born and brought up in Lagos State, and there's going to be recruitment for police personnel in Kwara State, am I not entitled to go? How many of the area in Kwara State am I familiar with? There's no doubt that state police is not the answer to our problem. Proper police funding that the federal government has taken it upon itself, much respect to the President Commander-in-Chief. He has done a lot of stride in ensuring that police is adequately funded. And the Inspector General of Police too have done a lot in ensuring that we improve on our efficiency, on our performance throughout the nook and cranny of this country. Okay. So we just want those who are concerned to continue to support the Nigerian police force to ensure that we remove all crimes and criminality from where we are. But a lot of people that are advocates of state policing have their own reason why they are calling for it, but I don't think it's tenable for Nigeria now to go into state policing. Let's do our best to support the police like the Lagos state government is doing, and we'll be able to have it good.
So the courts and the federal government has closed its case against the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPON, Nnamdi Kanu, after calling its fifth and last witness. Mr. Kanu is facing an 8-count charge of terrorism filed at the Federal High Court in Abuja. Now, the fifth witness, known as Mr. Triple E, is an officer of the DSS in Abuja, and he said he knew Mr. Nnamdi Kanu through the mass media but had never met him personally. Mr. Triple E said he led a team of security officers to travel to the southern region of the country to obtain records of activities that occurred between the years 2020 and 2021 relating to the NSAS protests. In the report, a total of 128 policemen were killed, 37 army officers and 10 DSS officers also lost their lives, as well as 164 police stations and a total of 19 INEC facilities destroyed. On the cross-examination, Mr. Triple E admitted not being involved in the investigation of crimes allegedly committed by Mr. Kanu. He said he is not aware if IPOB is concerned with happenings in Lagos, Ibadan, Ile-Ife, and other cities. Mr. Triple E said he is not aware of the Lagos State Judicial Panel of Inquiry on the NSAS protests, which did not implicate IPOB. After the cross-examination of the witness, the federal government said the evidences and witnesses they produced are sufficient to prove their cases, and they will be closing their case. Mr. Kanu Agabi, the counsel to Mr. Nnamdi Kanu, informed the court that the defense will be filing a no-case submission. He then asked for 14 days from June the 24th for them to file. Justice James Omotoshaw granted the defense team 14 days and the prosecution another 14 days to file their addresses. The matter was adjourned till July the 18th for adoption of written addresses in respect of no-case submission. Still at the courts, the suspended lawmaker representing Kogi Central, Senator Natasha Potu, has been arraigned by the federal government at the FCT High Court on a 3-count charge for allegedly defaming the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, and former Governor of Kogi State, Yahaya Bello. The senator, who was accompanied to the court by her husband and associates, pleaded not guilty when the charges were read to her. The presiding judge, Justice Chizoba Orji, subsequently granted her bail in the sum of 50 million naira and 1 reasonable surety in the like sum. Our correspondent, Emanuela Ekele, reports.
The lawmaker representing Kogi Central in the National Assembly, Senator Natasha Potu, arrived at the Federal Capital Territory High Court with smiles for her arraignment by the federal government on allegations of defaming the Senate President and former Kogi State Governor, Mr. Yahaya Bello. She's accompanied by her husband and former Education Minister, Mrs. Obi Ezekwesili, social activist Aisha Yesufu, and other supporters. At the commencement of the hearing, Senator Potu pleaded not guilty to the 3-count charge when it was read to her. In view of her plea, the prosecuting lawyer, Mr. David Kaswe, requested that she be remanded in the correctional center pending the determination of the charge. However, Counsel to Senator Potu Dwahan, Professor Roland Otaro, sought and got permission to move bail application for the defendant on the grounds that it was matured for hearing, having been served on the prosecution. On his part, the prosecuting lawyer urged the judge to refuse the bail application, adding that the prosecution took great effort and encountered difficulties before the defendant could be served with the charge. However, in her ruling, Justice Chizaba Orji noted that the alleged offense was not a capital one and that the law presumes her innocent for now. She subsequently admitted her to bail in the sum of 50 million naira and one reasonable surety in like sum. The judge held that the surety must own a landed property within the jurisdiction of the courts.
Our client has been arraigned. She's been granted bail. We intend to cope and comply with the conditions of bail, and we are ready for trial. The matter has been adjourned. Pray for us and wish us good luck.
I feel saddened that we're here doing this when there's so many things that the federal government should be focused on. The federal government decided to charge Senator Natasha to court. And the fact that she's not even built on self-recognizance, that's something, that should worry every one of us. With all the things that we have going on, how does it mean? Why is it that the federal government is not taking on the sexual harassment allegation that were made? Why are they selective in the way they're doing?
The prosecution was not available for comments. The case has been adjourned to September 23rd for commencement of trial. Emanuela Ekele, Channels Television News.
In part two, after the break, President Bola Tinubu commissions vital Kaduna projects, applauds Governor Uba Sani's development drive. Please stay with us. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, broadcasting live from Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. Chief of Defense Staff General Christopher Musa reaffirms Armed Forces' commitment to protect national territorial integrity. National Security Advisor Noor Ribadu, Defense Minister, meets governors over soaring food commodity prices nationwide. Federal government arraigned suspended Senator Natasha Potu over alleged defamation of President of the Senate Godswill Akpabio and former Kogi State Governor Yahaya Bello. And President Donald Trump to decide U.S.-Iran conflict and President Donald Trump to decide if U.S.-Iran-Israel conflict involvement in 2 weeks. All right, so let's head to the nation's capital now, and Gloria Mizuki is standing by to give us the latest from our Abuja studios. Hello, Gloria, over to you.
Well, thank you, Ayo. We'll begin in the National Assembly, where the River State Administrator has presented a 1.48 trillion naira 2025 budget of River State for hearing. The sole administrator of the state unveiled this today during the budget presentation during the Senate Ad Hoc Committee on Emergency Rule.
The Senate Ad Hoc Committee on Rivers State Emergency Rule receives the sole administrator of the state as well as members of the economic team for the hearing of the 2025 fiscal budget. Chairman of the committee and Senate leader begins by underscoring the importance of close tracking the implementation of the budget.
An aggregate sum of 1.48 trillion naira was proposed as the 2025 budget and for our consideration. As representatives of the Nigerian people, we are not only tasked with evaluating figures, but also with ensuring the faithful implementation of the budget. It is our mandate to track how allocated resources are utilized, project by project, sector by sector.
The sole administrator unveils the 2025 budget.
The total revenue projected for the 2025 fiscal year is 1.490 trillion naira. In anticipation of the eventual return to constitutional order, the draft budget prudently retains provisions for the offices and functions of suspended political actors, some of whom have already drawn unallocated resources in the first quarter and are expected to resume their duties at the expiration of the emergency period.
He further disclosed that the budget he describes as a people-centric fiscal blueprint responsive to development imperatives was drafted in the face of significant constraints from state officials.
Regrettably, also, some state officials withheld critical information required to ensure a more complete capture of those expenditures undertaken in the first quarter at the time of submission of the budget estimates.
The meeting transitioned into a closed-door session, after which a briefing was held.
Part of what they needed to do as a matter of urgency and as part of our wanting to enhance the peace process in Rivers State and ensure the happiness of workers is to inject a sum of 50 billion naira to take care of part of the liabilities in the area of payment of pensions and gratuities.
The committee announced that it would finalize and adopt its report by Monday, with a formal presentation to the Senate upon resumption of plenary.
As Nigeria continues to seek solutions to address its housing deficit, Metro Speed Property Development Limited has signed a partnership agreement with ExxonMobil Cooperative Society to collaborate on developing its highly anticipated Metro Smart City project in Lagos. The managing director of Metro Speed, Mr. Dele Oyefuga, states that the project, which has a duration of 24 months, is designed to transform Lagos into a modern urban hub through innovation, sustainability, and integrated smart living.
Metro Speed Property Development Limited, a leading real estate company, welcomes some special guests to its office in Lekki Phase 1, Lagos. It's the president of the ExxonMobil Cooperative Society and his team, and they go straight to business.
And we're assuring you that your partnership with us will be beneficial to you, to your members, and also we will derive benefit from the partnership. You know quite well that our technical partner is the CCECC, and they work on the project day and night.
They are buying into the Metro Speed Smart City project, set to be situated on 97 hectares of land on the Lagos waterfront in Lekki, and they seem confident in Metro Speed's credential.
We've had experiences in the past as a cooperative with developers who promise much or delivered very little, not at all. I'm very excited members. I think we've got over 140. We'll probably have more by the end of this month, like we said. And so we definitely want you to succeed. Because, we succeed. Everybody smiles.
Both parties put pen to paper to seal the deal and solidify the partnership. For the ExxonMobil Cooperative Society, this investment represents a highly valuable opportunity.
As a cooperative, we are always looking for value for our members, right? And real estate is one of those areas where you can get good value, if you can seize the right opportunities.
The Metro Smart City project is a game changer as far as Metro Speed is concerned.
What we're doing is changing the status quo. We're reinventing modern living as it should be, So this is one investment that guarantees high potentials on investment for any investor that keys in.
This landmark deal follows closely on the heels of another successful partnership recently inked with the Chevron Employees Multipurpose Cooperative Society, underscoring Metro Speed's commitment to collaboration and readiness for new business ventures.
Nigeria's quest to provide electricity for people who live outside urban centers got a boost following the signing of a memorandum of understanding between First City Monument Bank and the Rural Electrification Agency, REA. The ceremony, which held at the FCMB's headquarters in Lagos, had management of the bank and that of the REA in attendance. Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of First City Monument Bank, Yemisi Edun, said at the signing ceremony that the launching of the 180 billion naira is 100 billion naira for distributed access through renewable energy scale-up project is to demonstrate the bank's commitment to making electricity available for rural dwellers.
The management team of the Rural Electrification Agency, REA, led by its Managing Director, Abba Aliyu, is received by the Managing Director and CEO of First City Monument Bank, FCMB, Yemisi Edun, alongside other top executives of the bank. Both parties gathered at FCMB's headquarters in Lagos to formalize the partnership and officially launch the 100 billion naira REA FCMB financing facility. The initiative is designed to support mini-grid developers across Nigeria, as highlighted in the remarks delivered by FCMB's Managing Director, Yemisi Edun.
The MD of FCMB and REA, yes.
With this MOU, we are making that commitment tangible by backing developers with up to 70% of the project cost, subject to a maximum of 100 billion naira for this phase, because I believe we are still going to do another phase, and scaling up where needed, as long as the impact is real and the numbers hold up.
In his remarks, the Managing Director of the Rural Electrification Agency expressed optimism about the partnership, affirming the agency's readiness to collaborate with both local and international stakeholders to achieve universal electricity access.
We have engaged with a number of banks, national and international banks, but we have not seen the bank that has their hands dirty, that knows the nitty-gritty of renewable energy financing and renewable energy infrastructure financing like FCMB. I am saying this without any doubt.
Other key figures from FCMB, including the Executive Director of Wholesale Banking and the Senior Vice President and Divisional Head of Business Banking, echoed the bank's commitment to expanding renewable energy access.
Beyond just providing the sustainable energy, it will also create job opportunities. It will, it aligns with the bank's and the group's vision of also adding value to the Nigerian economy.
We funded over 20% of the first set of mini-grid, and we are happy today. The whole world wants to support Nigeria, and that project is now going to be a lot more bigger, and that's why we're making this commitment today.
With the official signing of the agreement, a major step has been taken towards delivering the much-needed electricity to homes across rural Nigeria. Both FCMB and the REA remain resolute in their shared vision to power communities through this 100 billion naira facility, an initiative expected to yield tangible, far-reaching impact.
Well, still ahead on the news at 10, federal government's green bonds records 183% oversubscription, raises over 91 billion naira for climate projects. That's in business news. Please join us again.
Welcome back. The University of Port Harcourt has conferred an honorary degree of Doctor of Science, DSc honoris causa, on the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Mr. Nyesom Wike. Speaking during the presentation of the conferment letter to the minister at his residence in Abuja, the Vice-Chancellor of the University, Professor Owonari George Will, disclosed that the official decoration and presentation of the certificate would be on July the 26th as part of activities to celebrate the university's 50th anniversary. On the spot, Mr. Wike expressed delight over the gesture about the university, stating that he is a proud alumnus of the institution, as it where he got his first degree in political science.
For me, it is the university that gave me everything. And I couldn't find out that why such a environment would not have a defeating convocation. Where we had our own matriculation and convocation. So how can this be possible? And being a governor, I felt I should contribute. And today, like you said, here is one of the best you can think of convocation. And in a way, you have to you do everything. So if I'm in a position to do more for my university, I want to. And once I've made a name, I've made a name that anybody can attest to. Yes, anybody can attest to. So I'm happy, and I've stepped on behalf of my family, my wife, and my friends. I accept this offer of Doctor of Science, College of Science, Honours Conference. I assure you, God keeps within our life. We'll be there. Thank you so much. Even if we're not in honor, after luminous, the anniversary of 50 years, it's a golden jubilee celebration. So one will participate and figure one will not to support the university.
The federal government is committing to infrastructure development, describing projects as strategic investments to improve lives and drive national growth. The Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, Mr. Benjamin Kalu, stated this at the commissioning of the Mabushi-Katankwe Road project connecting the judges' quarters in Abuja. Our correspondent Ben Yak reports.
This is the inauguration of the new collector road, CN2 Zakari A. Kiari Street in Mabushi, Abuja, a project designed to ease traffic congestion, enhance connectivity, and reduce travel time for residents in the district. The event attracted key government officials, including the Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, Mr. Benjamin Kalu, who is representing President Bola Tinubu at this ceremony, community leaders and officials from the FCT administration.
Your Excellency.
Delivering the President's message, the Deputy Speaker reiterates that infrastructure development remains a top priority for the federal government, describing road projects as a smart investment in the nation's future.
My administration will continue to invest in critical infrastructure, roads, bridges, housing, transport, education, and health. Because we understand that infrastructure is the foundation of national development, and that infrastructure is not an expenditure, but a good investment for the people. Let me assure you that we are not relenting until every Nigerian in every corner of this country feels the impact of good governance. We are committed. Very much committed.
In his remarks, the FCT minister issued a strong warning to property owners who have failed to pay their ground rent.
Those of you who say that will sell their houses for not paying their ground rent, see the value, see the product of paying your ground rent. If you don't pay, nobody will provide this infrastructure. Because the only thing the city has is just to collect tax. If you know you have land here and you have not paid, I will publish your name that you have not paid. It has nothing to do that I want to embarrass you. No. We need the money to do the work that we are doing.
Pictures. The event concluded with the inauguration of the road, followed by an inspection of other ongoing projects across the FCT, as the administration continues its push to deliver quality infrastructure for the benefit of all residents. Benny Ark, Channels Television News.
Let's get the very latest in the world of business. Here's Will Ibon.
Thank you, Ayotunde. Nigeria's third sovereign green bond has been oversubscribed by 183%, with investors putting in 91.42 billion naira against a 50 billion naira on offer. According to the Debt Management Office, a total of 47.36 billion naira was allotted at an interest rate of 18.95% per annum. The funds will go toward climate-related projects in the 2024 budget, supporting Nigeria's net zero emissions target by 2060. The DMO says the huge demand signals rising investor interest in sustainable finance and marks another step towards deepening the domestic capital market. Now, the Standard Bank and Bank of New York Mellon Corporation, BNY Mellon, have launched global depository notes to help international investors access Nigerian government bonds. The instruments are tradable globally and settled via Euroclear and Clearstream. This gives investors access to Nigeria's high-yield markets with treasury bills at 18.5% and 2033 bonds at 19.33%, among the highest in emerging markets. BNY Mellon says the move will attract more global capital and support African market development. Now to the oil and gas space. Oil prices have climbed over 2% on Thursday after Israel vowed to intensify military strikes on Iran. U.S. crude rose to $77.20 per barrel, while Brent hit $78.72 per barrel, marking an 11% surge in a week. Israel's defense minister said Tehran is now a target following a missile strike on a hospital. He also threatened Iran's supreme leader. President Trump is weighing a U.S. strike. J.P. Morgan warns regime change in Iran could push oil prices even higher for longer. Now, in the U.S., President Trump has granted ByteDance a 90-day extension to sell TikTok to a U.S. buyer, pushing the deadline to September the 17th. The White House says the move ensures TikTok stays active while safeguarding American user data. Trump believes China's President Xi will support a sale if a deal is reached. Talks are stalled amid rising U.S.-China tensions. TikTok denies posing any security threats and continues to operate with 170 million U.S. users. Back home, it's back-to-back record hit for the domestic equities market as the all-share index crossed 117,000 points today, largely on gains in MTN Nigeria. John McCoy tells us more.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Stock Market Report. Well, the bull run is still on at the NGX today. The major suspect is market mover MTN Nigeria. MTN Nigeria, we see, closing at 355 naira 90 kobo after gaining 5 naira 90 kobo. That's about 1.69%. But MTN is not alone. Figures from yesterday, they still follow through. So we see from FBN Holdings to UBA, GTCO, Accessco, and Zenith. It was good that CBN cleared the air on all those loans that are being moved forward. So the figures, of course, contributed again majorly to it. So at the close of trade today, not as much as yesterday, but 677 billion naira was added to the market cap, bringing it up to 74.358 trillion naira, and the market is up almost 1%. And we hit a new level also, although this was hit intraday, from 116,000 yesterday to 117,861.13. So the bull is still in charge at the NGX in Nigeria.
The bull stays in charge. But let's see the performance of other major global markets now. And that's business news. Is back to you, Ayotunde.
Thank you, Will. The White House says President Donald Trump will decide if the United States will directly get involved in the Iran-Israel conflict within the next 2 weeks, as it believes there is a substantial opportunity for negotiations. Here's Sammy Pusey with more international news and around the world in 5 from our London studio.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. A hospital in Beersheba in southern Israel has been hit after Iran launched a wave of missiles overnight. Soroka Hospital has been extensively damaged, according to a spokesperson, while Israel's emergency service say at least 65 people have been injured across the country. Iranian state media reports that the missile strike targeted a military site next to the hospital and not the facility itself. In Iran, Israel's military says it targeted nuclear sites including the inactive Arak heavy water reactor and Natanz facility. The attacks come at a critical time as Donald Trump considers the possibility of direct U.S. involvement in Israel's campaign. Mr. Trump has reportedly approved plans to attack Iran, but has not made a final decision. Iran's supreme leader warned of irreparable harm if the U.S. intervenes.
I think it says everything about Israel and about Iran.
Controversial South African opposition MP central to a row over race relations in the country has been denied entry to the UK. The Home Office said Julius Malema had been deemed non-conducive to the public good and that it was undesirable to grant him entry. In a letter released by Malema's party, the Home Office cited his vocal support for Hamas, including a speech he made after the 7th of October attacks, in which he said his own party would arm the group if it came to power. Officials from Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of Congo have reached a draft agreement aimed at ending decades of conflict. The breakthrough, mediated by the US and Qatar, provides for the disengagement, disarmament and conditional integration of armed groups fighting in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. Rwanda denies widespread accusations that it backs one of those groups, the M23, which has seized large parts of the region this year. The peace deal is expected to be formally signed next week. Hurricane Eric, a Category 3 storm, has made landfall on Mexico's Pacific coast. Eric hit the extreme west of Oaxaca state early on Thursday, local time, with maximum sustained winds of near 205 kilometers per hour. Forecasters warned of its destructive winds and said it could cause life-threatening flooding in Oaxaca and neighboring Guerrero before moving inland over southern Mexico, where it is expected to weaken. Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum told people in the storm's path to stay tuned to official communications, stay indoors and not go out. Footage of the moment Thai police officers raided a house near Bangkok suspected of being used as a scam centre has been released. Video shows the officers entering the rented house in the province of Samut Prakan and arresting 13 people, 5 Australian citizens as well as 6 British, 1 Canadian and 1 South African. According to Thai police, the group was allegedly running an online investment fraud that targeted Australians who were duped out of at least $1.9 million.
Would they certify?
And this is the moment a live stream captured a SpaceX Starship rocket exploding.
Whoa! Whoa! What? That's no!
The incident occurred at the Massey's Testing Center in Texas. Starship 36 was preparing for its 10th test flight at Starbase, SpaceX's launch site at the southern tip of Texas. In a statement, the company said no injuries were caused. They said there were no hazards to the surrounding communities and asked people not to approach the area. The company described the incident as a major anomaly. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel studios in Lagos.
Many thanks, Simon. Back home, the president has commissioned a series of landmark projects across Kaduna State, executed by the Governor Uba Sani administration. President Bola Tinubu lauded the governor for championing inclusive governance and fostering peace and stability in the state. During the visit, the president inaugurated 3 vocational training and skill development centers, a 300-bed specialist hospital, more than 100 subsidized CNG mass transit buses, and several completed roads.
Yeah, present here today, Your Excellency, is much more than a ceremony. It is a profound affirmation that leadership, when grounded in empathy and vision, can change destinies. You embody that leadership, one that listens, acts, and heals. You remind us that governance is not an end in itself, but a sacred trust bestowed by people, a trust to serve with integrity and purpose.
I have it on good authority that you can move to Bruningwari today around midnight without fear of attack. Peace is the hallmark of development. That's why you are able to channel a vision that is sharp and yielding results. Thank you, Governor, for a good job you are doing.
Hello and welcome to Sports News. I'm Kelly Egiga. Nigeria's home-based Eagles will play their Group B matches alongside title holders Senegal, Congo and Sudan at the 8th African Nations Championship in Zanzibar, Tanzania. Kenya, Tanzania and Uganda, the three East African nations that have been jointly awarded the hosting rights for the 2027 Africa Cup of Nations finals, have been mandated to host this year's Nations Championships as dress rehearsal. The Confederation of African Football, CAF, also confirmed the opening match will be played in Tanzania. The third place game will hold in Uganda, while the final game of the competition will be played at the Moi International Sports Center in Kenya's capital, Nairobi, on August 30. To club football news now, Manchester City have been fined more than £1 million by the English Premier League over delayed kickoffs in 9 matches last season. Premier League officials announced earlier today that Pep Guardiola's side had breached rules around kickoff and restart times between October and February. The longest delay was 2 minutes and 24 seconds before the resumption of the Manchester derby at Old Trafford in December. And that's your Sports News tonight. I'm Kelly Egiga. Back to you today.
And the main news again. The Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, today reaffirmed the Armed Forces' commitment to protect the territorial integrity of Nigeria. He made the pledge during an interface with media executives in Abuja to mark his second year in office. Also today, the National Security Advisor, Nuhu Ribadu, and Defense Minister Mohammed Badru have met with state governors over soaring food and commodity prices nationwide. The federal government has arraigned suspended senator representing Kogi Central, Natasha Potu, over alleged defamation of Senator Godswill Akpabio and former Kogi State Governor Yahaya Bello. Senator Potu was also granted 50 million naira bail by the FCT High Court. And President Donald Trump to decide the United States-Iran-Israeli conflict involvement in 2 weeks. That's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Ayo Tunde Balogun. Do have a good one.